and I would like to show you something funny. I made my own little guy made of Play-Doh.
I was born 7,375 miles away from my hometown. My homeland. My first home was Wuhan, China. At 18 months old, my life changed. My family adopted me and brought me to my second home in the United States of America. Northampton, Massachusetts. A small suburban city with rural accents. A corner street house in a quiet neighborhood. A backyard with muddy grass. Potholes on Norfolk Avenue where my childhood dog collapsed at my feet and I told her I loved her for the last time. A small pond where peepers sang in the summertime. The smell of cow manure and falling leaves filling the car when crossing the bridge to Hadley. Happy Valley family and Pioneer Valley community and low-light sunsets. Forbes Library and Big Fish were for watching time go by. The gas station with slushies of too much syrup. Grocery stores with too many recognizable old coworkers. The bike paths that took me everywhere. A couple of months following my adoption, my parents learned of my deafness. Bilateral progressive hearing loss since birth, with the likelihood of profound deafness by my young life. The little baby that my family spent months waiting for now faced a life of disability. In the shock of uncovering a new diagnosis and scrambling to provide me with language as soon as possible, my parents reached for answers. The answers led us to the top of Round Hill Road, a mere 2-minute drive away from my home. Clark School for the Hearing and Speech. Language and I finally meet. My voice becomes my new companion. Clark quickly became my favorite place in the world by the time I was enrolled in their preschool system. Clark School had eased my family's worries when it quickly became evident that I did have a lot to say. I won the slowest pumpkin award in our annual pumpkin roll race. We reenacted American history and learned songs in music class. We wrote plays and performed them for the school. My childhood best friend and I were deemed the Giggle Girls by all of the teachers. I went to speech therapy every day. I completed my sound checks every day. I learned how to explain what a hearing aid was, and when my right ear reached 95% loss by the 3rd grade, I learned how to explain what a cochlear implant was. I got my first surgery for a cochlear implant by the end of 3rd grade. All of the cool kids at school had them. My spoken language could only soar with it. With Clark's arching goal of mainstream education for deaf and hard of hearing students, they deemed me ready to take on a hearing school by the 4th grade. My life changed. I took on a hearing elementary school newly equipped with my first cochlear implant and extreme communication anxiety. Unlike my clerk's sanctuary, I quickly learned that the world is not built for deaf people. Still, I wanted to be a success story. I wanted to be the girl that I had always been. When adults complimented the fluency of my speech, I smiled and thanked them. A mental checklist of success lit up every time. When people questioned my hearing status, I took off my cochlear implant and explained how they worked, just like Clark had taught me. When strangers questioned my Chinese features, I shared my racial status. When peers asked if my sister was my real sister, I politely answered what they were really asking. We are not biologically related. When people assumed we were twins, I said, we are not biologically related. I was a success story. The girl who took on middle school struggled to shed her shy, nervous shell. My insides were boiling, but anxiety left me silent and poised. Learning about the genetic differences of Chinese people in history class left me increasingly confused. Learning about the Chinese eye shape from my white teacher left my white friends questioning my Chinese identity. I had questions too. I didn't know how to ask them. When I claimed to be Chinese, I just felt like a fraud. Braids were the solutions to the many hours I spent ripping out the tangles from my silk strands. Religiously and meticulously, my stiff fingers weaved my hair around my hearing technology. Braids stopped the girls from playing with my hair, from touching my cochlear implant. Braids got the boys asking questions as they pointed at the devices in my ears. The punchline of 7th graders discovering hentai. I got my second surgery in 7th grade for my left cochlear implant. It took months to decipher distinct sounds in that ear. It took months to relearn hearing through new channels. A year after the surgery, I heard my father tell me that he had been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. It became important for me to stay optimistic. Sunshine was my philosophy, hope was my religion. On nights when the home was particularly heavy, I made sure to express my gratitude for everything that I did have. A family. A home with a roof. A town. That had to be more than enough. In high school, I searched for possible future career prospects. Environmental science and animal justice fueled me. I struggled to follow along in history classes. I relinquished in my passions of writing and painting and film. Still, self-doubt kept me too afraid of diving in fully. On days when the struggle to actively listen and speak were particularly exhausting, I further pushed my all into my schoolwork. Just a girl with a speech impediment, often lost from fast conversations but always smiling it away just like she had adapted to do. Anxiety left me silent and flushed in the classrooms. Puberty left me crawling further into myself. I concealed my growing body, afraid I couldn't keep up with the people who stared. Taking up space didn't feel natural. Deemed and treated as a token girl of color in my high school detached me from the community and from my friends. I couldn't recognize my own reflections in the mirror. I couldn't stop staring at the photos of me. Why did I have to look so different? Why did the way that I spoke matter? Why couldn't I ever just be enough? I was too afraid to ask the questions out loud. My senior year of high school was spearheaded by my senior project. Beginning as a passion about deafness, I poured my all into the world of documentary. I began to explore what it actually meant to be deaf in a hearing world that I grew up in. I couldn't run away from my identity any longer. A word that I had learned from Clark so many years ago. My first documentary, titled "The Sky's the Limit," won me the Outstanding Advocate of the Year award by the Massachusetts Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. The Sky's the Limit was the first time I let the world hear my voice. A voice still in search of a place to go, my 17-year-old self pour her heart out the only way she knew how. The Sky's the Limit was my wake-up call that I could define my own life. The award ceremony was to be held at the Massachusetts State House in Boston, Massachusetts. However, it was canceled when a global pandemic hit in 2020. My future became the size of my house, of my neighborhood, of my hometown. My family stayed hyper-quarantined to protect my parents' health for 10 plus months. Grief and fear reigned the hearts of my home. My high school graduation left me with a superlative label of class cutie and a sinking feeling about my future. I couldn't control my growing body anymore, and I couldn't control my future. Hunger reigned my body. Who was I? Where did my voice go? I watched Northampton become a ghost town when the fall came around. I was forced to sit in the emotions I had neglected for so many years, in the body that I had beaten down. Denial couldn't save me any longer. Despite fears about moving forward, I eventually did leave Northampton. I attended my first semester of college at the University of Vermont toward the end of January 2021 as an undecided major. The world is not built for deaf Asian girls. Within 2 months of living in Vermont, I ran to the mountains. I forced myself to ski down Vermont's white slopes for the first time into the most beautiful sunsets of my life. I strained my ears toward the new age of concealed mouths muffled by N95s, and all of the energy left my body. I couldn't keep up with my professors and peers, let alone make friends or find community. When I got put into quarantine for my first COVID exposure just a few weeks in, the depression caught up to me. I didn't have any tears left. College made me feel like I was broken. I could never be like them. I could never be well-spoken. I could never be beautiful. I could never be successful. I couldn't outrun my body any longer. I no longer seized control over my sense of being. I searched for others to determine my worth. If I couldn't be flirty, I could at least attempt to become a size 0. If I couldn't hear, I could at least drink all of the isolation away. If I couldn't conceptualize the depths of my own mental health, I could at least smile at everyone. The college senior who had found me had a fascination with Chinese culture and Mandarin. He found my innocence, my smiles, alluring. He deemed my body worthy of consumption. He had more control on my identities than I did when I laid on his sheets intoxicated. His face a look of ease and hunger. To him, I was an easy target. A chance to change someone's life through disability advocacy for youth. A mentor who decided to believe in me. A city of skylight-reflected buildings and tunnel wind. The number of places to people watch. An intersectional queer relationship that brought me a reclamation of my body, my soul, and my identity. My first true love who learned American Sign Language for me. The squirrels in the Boston Commons swarming my feet with a witty fearlessness. The number of dogs to observe. A transfer to Emerson College and a final decision on my major, communication studies, with a minor in hearing and deafness. My future beginning to make sense. City heartache replacing suburban heartbreak. The smell of smoke in alleyways. Raising my hand to speak in a classroom for the first time. Doing it over and over again since. Embracing my identity as an adopted Chinese American deaf woman for the first time. Doing it over and over again since. A last-minute drive to a postponed award ceremony at the Massachusetts State House. A reminder that my deafness got me here. Conceptualizing what had happened to me my freshman year. Finding power as rape survivor. A hospital where I watched my father lie pale in the ICU after fighting cancer for 8 years. The anvil on my heart as I walked away. The discovery of my passion for connecting disability and visibility. Getting my bachelor's degree. Discovering a sense of home inside my own beating heart. A reminder that my body got me here. Most days, the knots in my back still tighten its hold around my voice box, reminding me of how much work it will always take to communicate. My feet still crack under the weight of my head and my heart at war. There is still fear about speaking up about my intersectionality. Yet, I only get stronger.